Hello, welcome to another Life Science webcast from Cambridge Health Tech Media Group. I'm Kevin Davis, Editor-in-Chief of BioIT World, and delighted to be joined this morning by Paul Bleicher, the founder of FaceForward, arguably one of the leading eClinical software providers, and until very recently the chairman of FaceForward, but you recently stepped down to pursue other interests, as they say.
Yes, I have. I actually am still on the board as a director of FaceForward. But I am the chief medical officer of a new health informatics startup.
Okay, we'll maybe touch on that at the end of our conversation. But Paul, with 10 years under or 11 years under your belt at FaceForward, we thought it'd be an interesting time for you to maybe just reflect on the state of play, not just at FaceForward, but in the whole sort of e-clinical space, which is a lot to ask in 10 minutes, but we'll see how we do. You founded FaceForward back in the late 1990s, but you trained as a molecular biologist and immunologist. You studied at many of the leading Harvard-affiliated medical schools and cancer centers. What did you see about the role of the internet in helping pharma pursue clinical trials back then?
Mm-hmm. Well, I actually took a long journey out of Harvard Medical School. I was a faculty member there and found my way into the pharmaceutical biotechnology industry because I thought that was the place where the progress in basic science actually got translated into progress for people and for disease mitigation. At that time, as I began to get into it, both as an investigator at Mass General Hospital, where I worked, and then at a contract research organization running clinical trials, and at a biotechnology organization, I learned that there was a lot of inefficiency, that a lot of things had been tried involving laptop computers and even large computers, but with the emergence of the internet and the ability to be able to do this through a web browser, I saw a new opportunity and was at the right place at the right time to take advantage of that opportunity. And that's how the idea came about.
So FaceForward, you founded in 1997, I believe. What was the mission of the company back then?
Well, the mission of the company was to solve two of the problems I thought had plagued me in the various clinical trials I'd run before. The first was being able to get real-time, high-quality data and make that actionable from a safety perspective and from all perspectives of making sure that data was in-house and high quality as soon as possible, which was consistent with the best, I think, practices of science in general. The second was all of the operational information about who did what, when, and where was so important to someone who was trying to make sure that their resources, who was running a clinical trial, to make sure that resources were appropriately spent and managed and that the trial could be done on time and most efficiently. And it was those two things that I saw were the opportunity and became our mission at FaceForward, to create a high-quality, regulatorily compliant, complete application for both the management of that clinical data and for the management of the operational aspects of a clinical trial.
So if we quickly fast forward to the waning days of 2008, some 11 years afterwards, has the industry complied? Has it taken advantage of everything that you hoped it would, or are there still some issues to be resolved?
Well, I think a little of both, obviously, and that's not to be unexpected. Certainly, FaceForward, one always dreams when you're an entrepreneur that something will be highly successful, and it's fulfilled that to my wildest expectations and beyond, actually, and I think started a trend that really changed the industry. It is something that has been adopted by a large percentage of pharmaceutical companies and internet-based clinical trials, and is in use in at least half of the clinical trials by best estimates that I've heard that are done in the industry. On the other hand, a lot of the efficiency that can be obtained, both from operational aspects and from a variety of process changes, et cetera, I think haven't been perfected at this point. They haven't gotten to the point where we as an industry has made best use of them.
So if, as you touched on the statistic, that perhaps as much as 50% of trials are still not performed using EDC and other electronic or methods of that sort, where is the problem? Is it with the user? Is it with the pharma company? Are companies like your FaceForward and others not doing a sufficiently robust job of translating or communicating the benefits of those technologies?
Well, I actually don't think it's a problem at all. I think it is following a standard technology adoption curve that has been has been known since the 1950s and was popularized in a Crossing the Chasm book written a number of years ago. But the pace at which different industries do technology adoption is different. The pharmaceutical industry clearly, a long time ago, a number of years ago now, crossed the chasm, and adoption at the 50% level is really at that peak of the technology adoption curve. There are a lot of things that have to happen in order, and if you compare that to, let's just compare it to the industry that I'm working in now, which is electronic health records. Around that industry at least of electronic health records. That started at a very, very low percentage, very similar to where internet or clinical trials through technology was when I started in 1997, and by best estimates is in the 12 to 14% range as compared to the 50% range. So I'd say, we're quite successful in that regard. I think that some companies are still waiting to get more of the, these are sort of the late majority who are waiting for more feedback, for more evidence of successes from others. And some companies and some applications in certain places may lag. And it's my belief that for whatever reason, academic clinical trials, some specialty clinical trials, smaller, very small clinical trials from companies that are trying to preserve their funds or whatever, that there are going to be some clinical trials that will always be done on paper.
Okay, so the cup is half full. Lincoln, FaceForward went public in 2004, and you can see it's enjoyed some spectacular growth and success. And you've made a few pretty important acquisitions along the way. Perhaps you could just recap on what some of those were. I suspect Lincoln Technologies would be chief on the list.
Well, Lincoln is, since we've gone public, Lincoln has been an excellent acquisition, as has Green Mountain Logic, as has Clarix, which are the three acquisitions we've done since we've gone public.
What do they bring? What have they allowed FaceForward to expand and diversify its offerings?
Well, Lincoln Technologies has a very important place in the safety arena and in the standards arena as well. It brought a lot of expertise and experience that has gathered over the years in that company. Safety, pharmacovigilance, and the ability to identify safety signals both in clinical trials and reported data was something that was very important to us, especially with our acquisition pre-going public of ClinSoft, with the ClinTrace product. And so we've been able to bring FaceForward, which I still am on the board of, has been able to bring together the safety aspects of the ClinTrace product with the Lincoln Technologies expertise and products in pharmacovigilance and in clinical trial safety, and it's made a very powerful suite that, combined with our technologies in clinical trial data management, makes an even more compelling offering. The Green Mountain logic added a workflow aspect to phase 1 clinical trials, which every phase 1 unit needs, being able to manage the labs and the activities in a phase 1 clinical unit, and that's very important, and I think will grow over time. And then thirdly, the Clarix acquisition, which is both the typical interactive voice response systems and interactive web response systems, allows us to get to randomization, a more clinical trial and supply management, allows us to basically complete the loop with adaptive clinical trials, so that we now have everything that's necessary to do adaptive clinical trials, and can offer that together to our customers as something that they have in an integrated form, ready to go, rather than having to put the pieces together themselves.
Obviously, you have a lesser role now with Phase Forward, having stepped down as chairman in the last month or two. But are there other areas that you might like to see Phase Forward expand, or other opportunities you see for the company in the next couple of years?
There are. I am still a director, so I am limited at what I say. I think the company has been quite public about their interest in being the go-to technology and technology services provider for clinical development and for post-launch safety. And the idea of an end-to-end solution, thinking about what technology-enabled services actually round out the picture and provide the most value for our customers, for our clients, is where the company should be focusing, where the company is focusing. And there are still a number of opportunities that I think are able to help the company in continuing to consolidate and provide a one-stop shop, if you will, for an integrated suite.
I suspect everybody watching this video vignette is aware of the horrific cost of bringing a drug to market. Do you see companies such as Phase Forward really offering a route to making that more affordable, because you were able to save time and resources in the really expensive part of the clinical trials?
Right, and I absolutely think so. That's been my belief all along. You're always dealing with time, quality, and cost, that triangle. And I think Phase Forward has been able to reduce all of those, to make that triangle smaller. And each company has their own interests. Even each clinical trial has their own interests. Sometimes time is absolutely of the essence. Sometimes quality, sometimes cost. And I think that the suite of technologies that we've put together has made it possible for companies to choose or to focus on reducing all three of them. And I believe that more and more, as companies get better, as pharmaceutical companies, biotechnology companies get better at using that data they've collected, at data mining and looking for connections with their other data, et cetera, there'll be even more opportunity to save that. That being said, the concept of ROI, I think in electronic data capture in general, it's almost past that point. I think the ROI is very positive to the buyers, and now people are focused on what's the best way for my company to make this an enterprise-wide solution.
Well, finally, Paul, in case anyone was worried that you were just relaxing, sipping Mai Tais on a desert island, having stepped down as chairman of Phase Forward, we've tracked you down here to this small office building in Cambridge, where you're cooking up a new venture. What can you tell us? You've given us you've alluded to some of your interests, but what can you say in these early days about your latest work?
Not a whole lot, because we are still in stealth mode, as it's called. But I learned a lot. I took a lot of principles out of what we did in the pharmaceutical industry, and I believe the next large challenge is the healthcare industry. And I've been really interested in doing something in that space, and so. I've joined a company that has a really dramatic advantage, both in skills and in concept, in healthcare informatics. And this is dealing with healthcare information, not pharmaceutical clinical trial information. And I've joined as Chief Medical Officer, and it gives me an opportunity to use a lot of things that a lot of skills in being an entrepreneur, in startups, and designing a product, and allows me to bring some of those principles that I learned in developing and working with our team to develop the Inform product at Phase Forward, to bring some of those principles to bear here in the early days of designing and formulating a product and offering that I hope will change some aspects of healthcare the same way that EDC was enabling for and Phase Forward was enabling for the pharmaceutical industry.
And do you think the new administration is going to be a cooperative partner in this endeavor?
I do. I think that the new administration, or the Obama administration, is anxious to make changes in the healthcare system. I think the current economic climate may make it difficult to make the kind of sweeping changes that people are looking for. But the one thing that they share in common, that Republicans and Democrats share in common in their platform as they were running, was electronic health records and connectedness through electronic data management, if you will, and actually driving quality and safety of patient care through electronic data management. And so I believe, if I'm reading the tea leaves right, the Obama administration is planning on making one of their infrastructure investments in high technology in enabling electronic health records and interconnectedness through electronic data. And if that turns out to be correct, some of your viewers may have heard it here first.
Well, Paul Bleicher, thank you very much for your time. Congratulations on a great 11 years at Phase Forward, still associated with the company, of course, and we look forward to hearing more about your new venture in 2009. Paul, thank you.
Thanks very much.
I'm Kevin Davis. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.